Hey everyone, welcome to CFL Storytime at 971. Our first book today will be The Lorax, and many of you may have seen The Lorax, the movie, which came out in 2012, but this book was actually written in 1971. So it's amazing to see how the history has gone, continuing, throughout literature and movie making, which is amazing. So this is The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. Let's get started. At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing except an old crows, the street of the lifted Lorax lives. This is the street of the lifted Lorax. And in deep grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today, where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax? And why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of the town where the grickle grass grows, the old onceler still lives here. Ask him. He knows. So this is where the onceler lives. And he knows where the Lorax went. You won't see the onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffled moof. And on special dank midnights in August, he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells you how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. So this is where the Lorax lives. This is where the onceler lived and where the Lorax used to be. On the end of the rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Wow. Here's a tin pail here. He wants you to get the story, so you have to pay him. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count to see if you paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snubby, in his secret strange hole, in his grovelous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by the whisper of my phone, for the streets, I tell you, are for your ears alone. So he's going to call them and tell them what happened, because he doesn't want everyone to hear. Slump! Down slumps the whisper of my phone to your ear, and the old onceler whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snargly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. This is the hose right here. You see the boy is listening? So long. Imagine listening through that. Way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the song of the swami swans ran out of space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. So this is the beauty of nature in Dr. Seuss books. So many colors. Right here are the truffula trees. And under the trees, I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in the barbaloot suits as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the ripperless pond came the comfortable sound of the hummingfish humming while splashing around. So here are the hummingfish humming. They're having fun. Here are the barbaloots playing with their fruit. They're also having fun. But those trees. All my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffle tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill and great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I knitted a thneed. Look at the tree that he chopped down. Remember, these are beautiful trees. This is the one he chopped down and he knitted a thneed. A thneed is anything that you can use. We'll learn more here. The instant I finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I had chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. Look at the man right here. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. See this guy here? I'll give you a hint. Someone very important. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. What's this thing you've made out of my truffleous tuff? So he's speaking for the trees because the trees can't speak for themselves. And he's asking him, what is that thing you made? Look at that. You see what he made here? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for harm. I chopped one tree. I'm not doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed. This is the Lorax. He's saying that the Onceler, the man who made this, was crazy. This is a thneed. You can use it as a shirt, a glove, a sock, a hat, even for the cover of your bicycle seat. But the Lorax is saying no one will buy it at all. But the very next minute, I proved he was wrong. For just that minute, a chap came along and he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy. The guy here just bought the thneed for $3.98. And here's the Lorax. He's confused and he's mad at the same time. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Shut up, if you please. I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called my brothers and uncles and aunts and I said, listen here. Here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Niche. Turn the left at Weehawken. Sharp right at South Stitch. So here he is, the Onceler calling his family members because now he believes it's time for them all to get rich. Oh, look at this big old store, Thneeds. And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting thneeds, just as busy bees, to the sound of the chopping of truffle trees. They're knitting. A whole bunch of knitting taking place here. Wow. Look at all the trees that they chopped down. Look at all the trees. So bad for the environment. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffle trees at one smacker. We're making thneeds 4 times as fast as before. And that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. So here's a machine that he created so it can chop down the trees 4 at a time. These are the truffle trees. So that means he's chopping down everything in the forest. But the next week he knocked on my office door. He snapped, "I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I am also in charge of the brown barbaloots, who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits and happily live eating truffle of fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffle of fruit to go around. And my poor barbaloots are getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies." Oh, remember, these are the barbaloots. They were eating their fruit and having fun, but now since the trees are chopped down, there's no fruits for them to have. Oh, it's very sad for the environment, all the barbaloots and all the animals. They love living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. Well, they're leaving, but more needs must take place in order for them to sow. They have to chop down the trees. So the barbaloots are going to leave to go somewhere else. I'm not sure where they're going. Woo! Look at the factory. Thneeds. You need a thneed. You need a thneed. I meant no harm. I most truly did not. But I had to grow bigger. So bigger I got. I biggered my factory. I biggered my roads. I biggered my wagons. I biggered the loads of the thneeds I shipped out. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more thneeds, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Everyone needs money, and everyone wanted a thneed, so they were going from the north, the west, the south, and the east. Wow. Look at that. All the thneeds going and growing. Then he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. "I am the Lorax," he coughed and whiffed. He sneezed and snuffled. He snarled. He sniffed. "Onceler," he cried, "you are a crovelous croak. Onceler, you're making such a smargless smoke. My poor swami swans, why, they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in his throat." Oh, here are the swans. And they usually sing, but because there's so much smoke coming from the factory, they can't sing anymore. And the Lorax. Here's the Lorax. He's really mad. He's trying to speak for them, but the onceler, the guy making the thneeds, he doesn't care. He just wants his money. "And so," said the Lorax, "please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you smog up all around here." Now they're flying. They're leaving. "What's more," snapped the Lorax, his dander was up, "let me say a few words about gluppity-glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stopping making gluppity-glup, and also sloppity-slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old onceler man, you. Look at all this gloppity-glop. Glop, it's like a bunch of trash and a bunch of oil probably. It's not good for the environment at all. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hum. No more they can hum, for their grills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary." Wow. See, these are the fish. So now they're leaving because the water's filled with like glop and glue and mud and things that are not good for the fish. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, "Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap yap and say, bad, bad, bad. While I have my rights, I intend to do what I just want to do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffle trees into thneeds, which everyone needs." So here's a Lorax, And here's the Onceler, and the Onceler is telling him, I'm just going to keep growing, growing, and making everything bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From the outside of the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffle tree of them all. This is the last truffle tree. All of this, they were trees, all of it. But this is the last one here. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in time, my uncles and aunts, everyone, all waved goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smuggled stars. Now that was all left beneath was the bad-smelling sky, was my big empty factory, the Lorax and I. So here are his family members. They're leaving. The ones that were working for him, helping him sow the needs, they're now leaving. Look at them. They're leaving him. You see the sky is all dark. There are no more trees. These are the tree stumps. Now they're leaving because there's no more trees to make needs. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad backward glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants. And I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hiced himself and took off his place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. So here's the Lorax right here. He's leaving. He's leaving this area, this town, going off through a big old fog, and he's not leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with one word, unless. Whichever that meant. Well, I just couldn't guess. That was long ago. Long ago. But each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you causes a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. This is where the Onceler lived. This is where his shop was. Now he's living at the top of his shop. And now this is the boy that was listening to the story, and he's standing in the rock that says unless. So, catch the Onceler. This calls the Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffle seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffle seeds and the truffle trees that everyone needs. Plant a new truffler, treat it with care, give it clean water, and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from the axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. So the Onceler, the guy who was making all the needs, he threw a seed down so that this boy can make more truffle trees. And here's the last picture of the Lorax leaving. The end. So this book is all about environmental protection. The Lorax was very sad that the fish couldn't swim, the swans couldn't sing, and even the barbaloots, the little bears, they couldn't play with their fruits because there were no more trees. So this is the story of the Lorax. You may have learned a lot from the book, or if you saw the movie, you can see that, protecting the environment is pretty important. So think about that. Think about when we chop trees and we waste a lot of paper, it affects everyone. All right, so I really hope you enjoyed this story time with 971 CFL After School Program. We really hope you enjoy our videos. And if you have any suggestions, please let us know. Thank you for watching.